would have to say that would be my mother, Ruth Nell Rawlings. My mom passed in September of 2017. However, she was young, divorced, raised my sister and I, in the projects of Cleveland. She had an 11th grade education, but it was her work ethic. My mom was a very, very hard worker, and she instilled those values in me. My mom retired at the age of 72, and she was working for Midland Steel, still shoveling coal into blast furnaces and banding steel, shipping to the assembly plants across the state. And when you think about that kind of hard work, for a woman who was very kind of short in stature, but boy, she was strong in spirit.
My grandmother, Margaret McCaffrey, because she was orphaned and adopted, married my grandfather when she was about 17, had 5 children, and when he died, she had a 2-year-old and a son, the oldest one in Iwo Jima. And she took my grandfather's place in council and stayed there for 30 years at a time when women weren't in office.
I have to say my mother, because she immigrated to the United States when she was in her early 20s, barely spoke the language, and she and my father raised my brother and me in a foreign country, and gave me the same opportunities they gave my brother, and really gave us the American dream. And she's a tough woman, but she's the kindest one that I know. And so I really try to raise my kids the way that they raised us. And she's my role model.
My mother, the Reverend Gussie Udell Kitchen Collier. She was strong, she was very charismatic, she was a great businesswoman, great fundraiser. She was awesome, great sense of humor. She inspired me in every way because she really taught me how to take care of business and conduct business. She taught me how to pray. She taught me a lot of spiritual things as well as material.
The woman who inspired me the most is my grandmother, my mom's mom. She came to this country from Italy in 1928 on an arranged marriage, raised a family, worked for many years at General Electric, and she just had this spirit about her. She worked hard, she did everything with a passion, and she just seemed to believe that she could do whatever she was aspiring to do. And that included, her kids going on to become educated and pursue careers, but she was the most loving, creative, funny, clever, resilient woman that I ever met.
One of the people that's been very influential in my life was Judge Lillian Burke. She was a judge in the Cleveland Municipal Court, and she played an intricate part in my life and my upcoming in the judiciary as well as politics. I always admired and respected her. I liked her integrity. I liked the way she presented herself. I thought she was strong, but she was still feminine. And I liked her overall manner and demeanor. And she cared about women who were coming up behind her.
A very important woman in my life was my grandmother, Ada Hagen de Loretto. She came over from Italy with her family, and she met my grandfather, and they ended up having 14 children. And then they had more than 30 grandchildren because it was such a large family. She lived her life. She was a devout Catholic and a very strong Democrat, and she devoted her life to helping others. And she taught us all to do the same. And she had a great special knack of making all her 14 children feel loved and special, as well as her 30 plus grandchildren.
I would actually like to have coffee with my grandmother, because I would like to ask her what she thinks today of the progress and some of the lack of progress of women in public office from the time she started so long ago.
I would love to sit down with Winnie Mandela, which is Nelson Mandela's wife. Winnie went through a lot, and really, if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't know who Nelson Mandela probably is. But she's the one that kept the fire going. I would ask her, how did she stay so focused for so long? I mean, they would banish her into areas she didn't know of and make her stay there for years. They put her in prison. They did all kinds of things for her, to her, and she still stayed focused. She still was the fighter to the end.
It would be the same person. It would be my grandmother. I would ask her to make the coffee because she made beautiful espresso, and I would ask her to tell me about her life. And I would just listen and listen. She gave us so much love. When I tell you how much she inspired me, I imagine that if you asked all of my first cousins who inspired them the most, what woman, it would probably be her as well.
I would love to meet Ida B. Wells, and I would love to talk to her about what inspired her to become the woman that she is, and how did she maintain her sanity, and how did she maintain her personal integrity throughout the process. I would also like to say that Hillary Clinton is one of the people that I greatly admire, because I don't think any woman on earth has been through all of the tragedy, drama, and excitement that she has, and survived it still, and maintained her decorum, maintained her structure, and maintained her strength.
I've always been fascinated by the strength that Sojourner Truth had. Being a Black woman in the 1800s who fought for civil rights, who fought for women's rights, who had a voice when Black women didn't have one, is just so fascinating to me. So I would love to sit down and just ask her where she got her courage. And after everything that she went through as a slave, being sold time and time again, to be able to get up and make those speeches and encourage and motivate people to make a change, I just think that that would be a fascinating conversation.
I would like to sit down with a woman named Constance Motley. Not a lot of people know her. She was the first African American woman ever to argue a case in front of the Supreme Court. And she was also the first African American woman to be nominated and appointed as a federal judge. And I would just ask her what kept her going, what made her feel the drive to overcome so many obstacles. I think that's so respected.
It would be Coretta Scott King. I identify with her in many ways, the mother of 4 children, a graduate of college in Ohio, married to a pastor. She was the first lady of the church. I know what all of that entails. But to be able to sit down and talk with that woman who was married to Martin Luther King Jr. and the things that they had to endure as she was juggling all of those roles. I'd like to talk to her about how she did it. I'd like to talk to her about what she was feeling as she was going through it, and how she felt about the legacy of her husband after he passed away.
Be brave and be kind.
Keep pushing, ask questions, ask a lot of questions, and don't ever feel like people will think poorly of you for asking. That's really what a sign of intelligence is.
It's a wonderful system to work in, that women bring a great deal to the table in the justice system, no matter what role they play, because we have unique qualities of empathy and nurturing, and we're good negotiators and we're good listeners. But I would caution them not to assume that women are still treated fairly.
You need to be prepared all the time, no matter what it is. Always be prepared. And I think that that you can consult with other women so that you can find out like where you ought to be in certain situations, and you shouldn't be ashamed to do that, because we are still climbing. Women are still coming up, And some women look at it and say, well, we've arrived. No, we have not. We're still thriving, and I think that you need to look to other women.
Don't cut yourself short. Don't underestimate yourself. Don't let anyone underestimate you. We can do the same thing that our male counterparts can do, and a lot of times we can do it better, juggling so many more balls in the air. So I just encourage women to go after their dreams and know that they can achieve anything that they set their mind to.
I would encourage them to continue to move forward. It is very important to have diversity with regards to our court system. It's important for individuals to see us as women in the court system, to see that that's something that they can do, that they can strive for, and that it can happen. For far too long, it was just a male-dominated area, and there were just so many barriers for women. And so I think it's encouraging for young women. We have a lot to offer, we have a lot to give, and I think that we should be encouraged to give all we have in that regard.
I would tell them that you belong. So many times I talk to young women in the justice system who question their worth and their value and if they're good enough. And it's funny, I don't often run into men who do the same. So I would encourage them to know that they belong and they're worthy, and they should be here.
You gotta work hard. Believe in who you are. Believe in what you know. Do it. Work hard. Don't look at yourself as a female. Look at yourself as just I'm a worker, and I'm the best there is out there. And do your job.